Dizzydreamer ASMR. Good evening, my Dizzydreamers. Welcome back to my ASMR channel. Tonight I thought I would do something a little fun, a little cozy, just to celebrate kicking off September, which is personally when I start celebrating fall. I don't quite start celebrating Halloween yet. I usually wait a few weeks into September to really get into the Halloween mood, but right now I am feeling very fall despite it being really hot outside. So tonight I thought I would just do a fun little cozy video on my fall bucket list. I just made this list on Pinterest, and I thought some people like the inspiration, others might just want to listen to me whispering about something random. So, without further ado, let's get straight into it. And also let me know what you guys have on your fall bucket list, because maybe I will edit mine. Alright, let's get started. So the very first thing on my fall bucket list is to go apple picking. I love apple picking. I think it's such a fun activity. I always sneak an apple or two when I go apple picking, or no, you're not supposed to, oops. But yes, and I love eating apples, especially the really yummy crunchy ones. I think they're like gala apples, I think they're called. Anyways, and with these apples, you have to make apple pastries, obviously, like apple tort and apple pie. This year I'm thinking of making miniature apple tarts. So we'll see how that works out. Maybe I'll post a picture of whatever I make. So this is for sure something I want to do this year, and hopefully soon, because I think you can start doing that in the first few weeks of September. So the next thing on my fall bucket list is going to a pumpkin patch. Usually a pumpkin patch and an apple orchard would be like right next to each other where I live. There's a few that are in very close proximity to each other. So it'd kind of be like a 2-in-1 kind of thing. But I love going to pumpkin patches and scouting out the perfect pumpkin, because the next thing on my fall bucket list is carving a pumpkin. Obviously, you gotta carve a jack-o'-lantern. Last year I did one with like swirly eyes and it looked really cool. My boyfriend did like a Mandalorian one, so I really enjoy pumpkin carving because you get to express your creativity that way, and when it turns out nice, it's really fun. When you kind of fail at carving, it's not so fun. But and then you can also get pumpkin seeds and roast some pumpkin seeds from that. So next, I really want to bake Pillsbury cookies, because Pillsbury cookies are the best cookies ever. If you cook them right. If you don't cook them right, they low-key taste like Play-Doh, but apparently they're also like edible if they're frozen. Like you can just eat them frozen, so that's a fun fact. But I look forward to eating these literally all year long. I know Pillsbury has different brands of their cookies. They have some in Christmas time that we also eat, but like I think they do like Easter and Valentine's Day, but I never partake in those. I only save it for Halloween, and then sometimes Christmas if we can get around to it, but usually only Halloween. There's a hack I know where you take a Pillsbury cookie and you put it on top of a chocolate chip cookie, and like you bake them frozen like that, and it's the best thing ever. It is so good. So yes, this is a 100% must do for me every single fall. Another thing that I like doing multiple times throughout the season is having a cozy self-care night to myself. So this might entail